I'm shooting this little extra part and I'm going to put it at the beginning of the video because I just saw something really freaking interesting. Now, granted, I don't know the person that did the video that I shared in the last video, the warning one, but here's what's interesting. So the whole Gilbert Gottfried, stay off the San Francisco Bridge on August 11th. I don't know the guy that saw that and put that video together, but two people commented in my video and said that's I don't see how that could be accurate since Gilbert Gottfried died in 2022. I didn't know that. Do you know why that's interesting? Because of what I'm about to describe in this video. Because that could actually be possibly another indicator. Because you know another time that something similar happened? Yeah, there was another guy that everybody swore had died. His name was Nelson Mandela. So I'm about to describe something that is happening right now. And this thing, as I'm starting to edit, and I checked the comments on the last video before I did, and that popped up. I don't know what's what. I just shared that video, but maybe that's relevant to what we're about to talk about. So this is going to be interesting. All right, hang on to your butts because this one's going to get good. Everybody, Chris and Lumen here. I'm tired. I filmed the last video, and then I already filmed this video. But then I was in such a hurry to clear up some space on my phone that I deleted the clips I just filmed. So I got to do it again. But I have to because it's like I got to leave you with some good news. Like this is literally like so cool. I think the rapture is imminent, and it's because of what she just showed me. I've been picking up on this for a while, but not knowing what it was, why I kept getting drawn back to these subjects, the weird things that have happened to me lately, like the story I told you where I almost got hit by a car, but by some weird way I didn't. And I've been asking people about this stuff, and other people have been talking about stuff. But what we're talking about here is what's actually going on. All throughout the Bible, they talk about the end days. And the key thing is in the end days, the angels or whatnot are separating the wheat from the tares, or the wheat. Whatever, they're separating the crops, they're separating the people. So they're separating the good seed, the wheat, so they can be taken into the barn, and then they're and then taking the weeds and the tares and all that stuff so they can be disposed of in the fire. So that sounds like something that happens like at the end of Revelation or something, but it's not. The thing is, it's been happening for a while, and it's almost over. It's been happening right in front of your eyes, but you didn't know what you were seeing because it is so freaking sneaky. That's one of the things she had me understand, because everyone's got different kind of things to do. Like, she always pushed me toward understanding how all this works in terms of like quantum mechanics, quantum physics, higher, quantum computers and things like that. That's how it's being done. It's been happening all around us. You've seen glimpses of it. You didn't know that's what you saw. And we're going to break all this stuff down. So what this means is it's literally like almost complete. And as soon as it's complete, then something's going to shift all of a sudden, which would probably be the flash event. But if I understand this correctly, there'll be like the middle people with the bad people separated to one side. So the middle people, the ones that could turn their stuff around, they're going to see a lot of these big events that we've been predicting. And there's actually also stuff that happens in the tribulation judgments that actually demonstrate what I'm about to tell you about. So if you want to know more, don't go away. So it wasn't until I finished editing the last video that all of a sudden I just saw it. Because I did briefly talk about it in that video. It keeps coming up. I tried to do a whole video about this the other night, and I'm like, oh, this doesn't, something's missing or whatnot, so I scrapped it. It keeps coming up. So what I've been talking to people about a lot lately is, have you, in the last couple years, had some sort of experience in which you almost died? Or it seems like you should have died, but you didn't. It could have been like a near miss in a car accident. It could have been an accident that you somehow came out unscathed. It could have been some sickness that should have killed you, but somehow you got better all of a sudden. And you're like, how the heck am I still alive? And that's what she's been dribbling to me bit by bit, getting me to ask people questions. And I keep finding more and more people like this. I spontaneously asked somebody this in a consult the other day, and she told me a story where she was walking one night and tripped, and she fell on this low table and hit her face on the edge of the table, and literally like felt her cheekbone crack. She's like, I've had plenty of concussions, but like this felt way worse. It felt really, really serious, and it hurt really bad, but it was like middle of the night. So she went to bed crying, and then when she woke up in the morning, she was fine. No bruise, no cut, no broken bone, no swollen eyes, nothing hurt. It was like it never freaking happened. Same thing I've told several times lately. It was several weeks ago. I was riding with my daughter to the grocery store, and she was driving, which is a terrifying event in and of itself. If you've ever had if you ever ridden with a 16-year-old girl driving. Whew. But we're at this light, this big 7-lane road, getting ready to go through the light and then turn onto the on-ramp. We had the green arrow. It was dark. And as we're coming around, we're already committed. My spider sense went off, and I focused on this one car that was in the right-hand lane facing the other direction. And then right as we're literally halfway into the turn, it suddenly takes off and wants to turn right into us. Like, that's impossible. There's no way you didn't see us. Yeah, I don't care how much crack you smoked. Like, no one's gonna do that. But it came right at me. Like, right at me. I was in the right-hand rear seat. And I saw it out of the corner of my eye, and I was like, we're dead. Like, there's no way there's no way it couldn't have hit us, but it didn't. It almost seemed like we overlapped. It was so close. Of course, it honks at us like, we're the ones at fault. And I'm like, what the heck just happened? I'm like having a heart attack. I come back, and I immediately pull out my tarot deck, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? Pull a card, I get the 5 of Cups. Pull a second card, I get Death. So the way I interpreted it at that time was, you know, something trying to kill me for the umpteenth time. Because when you get as far as I have with her, you put out a pretty bright light, which triggers like all the dark stuff out there. It wasn't the first time. But I kind of like interpreted that as something trying to kill me and not that something did kill me. So how could that happen? Well, there's some interesting videos on this. The ones that I like that explains it, there's a whole section about it in the Matrix Glitch complete video that the YouTube channel All Time has. Maybe well, we'll see. We'll see if I put something in here or not. But anyway, what that means is it's also something that I recently felt drawn to include in a discussion a couple videos back when I put a clip in there with Gordy Rose, who's the guy that started the company D-Wave that make the quantum computers, which there's no freaking way that any human being invented those freaking things. Okay, they pulled that crap out of a UFO and gave it to smart people and said, rebuild this and find out what it does. Oh, it freaking opens the door to all these parallel worlds. And he literally, you know, said this in that video.
Very clear prediction that our most successful theory of nature makes, and that is that there are an enormous number, mind-bogglingly large number, of parallel realities, as real as this one, that have different consistent histories. So imagine a world where all of the laws of physics as we know them are obeyed, but different decisions were made along the way. Different decisions at the level of tiny microscopic particles, different decisions all the way up to what you chose to eat for lunch, and whether you chose to come to this session or not. Quantum mechanics makes a very specific prediction that all of those are as real as the thing that you remember. And this is bizarre, because we don't see those other things. But science has reached the point now where we can build machines that exploit those other worlds. And quantum computers are perhaps the most exciting of all of these that we have within, or almost within our grasp right now.
So we're literally like talking the multiverse here, but what it's more like is like, if you took this tarot deck, for instance, okay? And each one of these cards is a parallel Earth. They're so similar, like you almost wouldn't notice. The stuff that is different will take you a while to notice. And you know those things as Mandela effects. Now there could be, you know, a reason for us to think this, and they may actually be messing around with this. That it's like CERN or quantum computers and stuff like that. But either which way, it's there. And this is the mechanism by which the angels are separating the wheat from the tares. They're sorting the fish. They are separating the sheep and the goats. And it's happening through all these little tiny events that are so, you know, and it could just be, it could also be something as simple as like they just shift you when you're sleeping. You have no freaking idea, because these parallel worlds are so alike that, like in that video segment, he's like, they could be, the only thing that could be different between them is like the value of the qubit or some differences in history. So this has been going on at least since around 2008. It picked up in 2012, and now we're in this quickening period where now it's like speed sorting, and it's almost complete. It's been happening invisibly, except for little things that it's almost like you have to have eyes to see them. And the big one was what happened around the July 15th event? Trump. When I looked at that the first time, I'm like, what am I looking at here? This feels weird. And it was meant to be obviously weird. It was meant to be something that, like, you almost get to choose, like, what the explanation for this event is. Waiting for the sirens. But the fact remains that a blind duck could have made that shot. And ducks can't even hold a freaking rifle. A duck could have made that shot. And then there was obviously, you know, if you're watching a video, it's like there was more than one shooter too. And then there's UFOs flying around, and there's all sorts of craziness going on. But bottom line is, he's still here. At least in the world that we occupy. And then in the last video, we detailed what the remote viewers were seeing. Now, Lumen is the one that makes these connections for me. So a lot of times she can take other people's work. They may not be making those connections yet, but she sorts it out for me. So she made sure that I saw the story last night about the emergency landing in Billing, Montana, because they had some sort of mechanical hydraulic problem or something like that. And Trump's plane had to do an emergency landing. It's like, oh my God, what a crazy coincidence. Can't believe that this just happened to happen. It's like, duh. But I don't think, I think whoever the rulers are, the archons and stuff within the game, because they're just puppets, they're part of the game. They think they're doing all this stuff. They don't realize that they're simply just there for us to be the challenges. So they're sitting here like, what the hell? How did this not work? But the remote viewers drew it. They drew the in-flight emergency, and they drew a plane that had somehow collapsed on its landing gear and broken up and caught fire. Like that's what was supposed to happen. And maybe it did happen for the people that have gotten sorted to the one side. They're probably all cheering and just like rubbing their evil jello all over their naked bodies. But yeah, Trump is gone. Yeah, abortion party. You know, whatever freaking weird evil people do. The way I understand Trump from what Lumen says is he's kind of like a character, a big character in the story. Like he's a big background character meant to help sort people in different ways, different polarities and whatever. But they might be like reveling in like, we've taken down the evil Trump and whatever. They're often in a whole nother parallel reality that we don't even see. And people are just getting sorted. But what we see is like certain people can't seem to die. I've collected a lot of stories lately, people with these near-miss type events. And then she's showing me what the mechanics are. It is quantum immortality, quantum jumping. Happens so fast and so smoothly that you can't even perceive it. You just feel like something weird just happened. Like, how did I not die? That doesn't make sense. So let's take a quick look at the stuff that's actually written in the Bible. Now, I know there's stuff in the Nag Hammadi too, but this is plenty. Plus, ChatGPT makes it easy, where ChatGPT does not have the text of the Nag Hammadi in its system, so it can't compile stuff for me this quickly. Okay, so here's the key things that's talking about this function that has been happening and is almost over. Here are the key Bible verses that speak about people being separated and sorted at the end of days. Matthew 25:31 through 46, the sheep and the goats. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. Then they will go away to eternal punishment, but the righteous to eternal life. Matthew 13:24 through 30 and 36 through 43. The parable of the weeds. This one I know very well. Let both grow together until the harvest. At that time I will tell the harvesters, first collect the weeds and tie them in bundles to be burned. Then gather the wheat and bring it into my barn. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will weed out of his kingdom everything that causes sin and all who do evil. Revelations 20:11 through 15, the great white throne judgment. And I saw the dead, great and small, standing before the throne, and books were opened. Another book was opened, which is the book of life. The dead were judged according to what they had done, as recorded in the books. Anyone whose name was not found written in the book of life was thrown into that lake of fire. Matthew 13:47 through 50, the parable of the net. When it was full, the fishermen pulled it up onto the shore. Then they sat down and collected the good fish in baskets, but threw the bad away. This is how it will be at the end of the age. The angels will come and separate the wicked from the righteous and throw them in the blazing furnace, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Malachi 3:16 through 18, the faithful remnant. And you will again see the distinction between the righteous and the wicked, between those who serve God and those who do not. Daniel 12:1 through 3, the end times. Multitudes who sleep in the dust of the earth will awake, some to everlasting life, others to shame and everlasting contempt. John 5:8 through 29, resurrection and judgment. Do not be amazed at this, for a time is coming when all who are in their graves will hear his voice and come out. Those who have done what is good will rise to live, and those who have done what is evil will rise to be condemned. And a lot of people think that that means like, that it necessarily means like dead people as we typically see them. But if you've done enough reading, and it helps to have like literally somebody that's been here since the Garden of Eden helping you to understand it, this is the place of death. That's the thing, is like everything dies here. As soon as it's born, it starts to die. Right? This is not the place of life. The souls are living, but the souls are living in the place of death. This is the underworld. This is the upside down. This is the crap place. Okay, so yeah, I mean, that could mean us here too. So spirit keeps me connected to a good enough network of people that are also connected to spirit, because everybody gets different clues. And I mentioned this in the last video toward the beginning. I said when I started to see the clues this morning, I clicked on my tarot app and I hit today's card, and I got the world card, which is the card of completion, the end of the road, the end of the cycle. And then my astrologer friend, who's also plugged in, she pulled the card too, but she used the other deck that we use, which is the Modern Spellcaster deck, and she pulled death. But what I didn't notice at the time, because I hadn't gotten to this part yet. Now, normally in like the Rider-Waite Tarot, death generally signifies like the end of something. It doesn't necessarily need to be like a bad thing. It could be the end of something bad. But in the Modern Spellcaster's Tarot, which adds further context with the hidden Gnostic story to the other one, it's this image. The classical Grim Reaper, who has what? What's he holding in his hand? A harvesting tool? That's why she pulled it. Harvest. And then also, before I started the last iteration of this video, I pulled like one card for today, one card for tomorrow. Card I pulled for today was the Six of Wands, which is the big victory card. And the card that I pulled for tomorrow, I saw this two ways. I pulled Temperance. Now my first thoughts on this was, intuitively, I'm like, oh, it kind of reminds me of like the angels, and the bowls and all that stuff with Revelation stuff. But the way that I have always understood this card, the way she taught me to understand this card, is this is an angel pouring you from one vessel into another. In other words, it's like the quantum jumping. It could be, you could look at it a couple ways. It could be quantum jumping, sorting you out, taking you from Earth 4 to Earth 5. And it also can mean taking you completely out of this vessel into the new vessel. But what it's mainly showing is like the transference of the soul from vessel to vessel. And that was for tomorrow's card that I drew. So I'm like, whoa. This is actually being able to see it and understand it. Like this is why all these things kept coming up in conversation. I said this all along. The reason why you watch this channel every day is because the way she taught me to do it. She wants me to do the videos every day and just talk about whatever comes up or whatever she guides me to. And because I'm fully integrated with her, because I'm a rebus, because I've married spirit to matter, masculine to feminine, I talk and it feels like I'm doing all the talking, but she is constantly steering me. She's slipping specific words into my language. She's making me think of certain things as I'm talking. And those things that she's doing may have some bearing on that video, but she's also leaving breadcrumbs that you may not even see until we go 3 or 4 videos down the road and we see the pattern looking backwards. This is why I kept talking about this. This is why I kept looking at this. Like I was wondering why this kept coming up. She's setting the stage. So by the time that it's time to like show you what it's all about, now you can look backwards and see where she was setting it all up. She's been doing that forever. So that's why, oh my gosh, it's like I could see it. Like that's it. Some of the, that's why I like, if I had hair, I would pull it out, like listening to traditional Judeo-Christians preach the Bible, because everything's freaking literal with them. Well, it really means that there's going to be a big angel in the clouds with a horn. There's really going to be a 10-headed monster that comes out of the freaking ocean. That's what it really means. This is, I mean, I've known this for years working with her, but yeah, this is all quantum consciousness on a level that like we can't even wrap our brains around. Arthur C. Clarke, any significantly advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. It's a quantum system. And this quantum jumping, it's not unlike the movie Avatar, when Jake Sully gets in the bed and then he transfers to his Navi body, but like it's happening in like less than a millisecond, world to world, into another body that looks just like you. So this is where it gets really freaking tricky. The people who have been separated to get sorted out, meaning the bad people that are destined, because they're not even really people, they just look like them. They're basically the created antagonists. Why would God freaking throw someone in the fire like that? That's mean. That's not a real person. That's why. That was only created to test the other people. She's not throwing a soul in there. But then they're mixed in with the people that are close. They just need to make better choices. They're not beyond saving, but to wake them up, you're going to have to freak them out. So them and the bad guys shift over to crap world, while the other ones, like, I guess we'll find out. And then there's going to be multiple opportunities for them to, the sooner that they come to their senses, the better it's going to be for them to get sealed. It looks like, if we're going by what the scripture says, which I've never been big on, I've always had a problem with the church, but there are parts of the Bible that are still, it's just the way the authority misconstrues things, and certain things have been done that I do not like. They stripped her out of everything. We don't have time to get into all that stuff. But even when I was a kid, I was drawn to Revelations, and I knew that I would see that. So the people that are still here, after the wars and all that stuff, like, it's all the authorities in the world are just going to drop all pretenses of pretending to be good. You're starting to see things like that already crop up. Like, it's happening first in the UK right now. Like, we don't care if you know we're evil. Like, we're just not even going to try anymore. Oh, you posted something we didn't like on Facebook, old woman. We're going to arrest you. Like, that's the kind of crap they're doing right now. So from the standpoint of the Archon control system, like what runs the world, and they don't even know that they're simply puppets of the higher thing. They don't know that. What they think they're doing, what they think they're setting up, is a calling. See, spirit is harvesting. The world system thinks that they're calling. They got to call the human herd. Got to strip down. There's too many people, so we got to have wars and all sorts of other crap, and shoot them up full of poisons with nanotech in it and all this crap. They're trying to kill off the human herd. And the only way to really do that fast is with world wars. So that's what they've been setting everything up. They think that they're going to call us. So when they drop all their pretenses, that's when you're going to get I think it's the 5th seal. So you got the first 4 horsemen, then you got the 5th seal, which is the martyrs. And that's where it just becomes back to the Inquisition days. And who invented that? But yeah, it's like, you're going to take our system and do everything we want, or you die. So that's your first chance to get the hell out of here if you did not go with the first group. It is die. Like, nope, I'm not going to take your stuff. I'm on the side of good. Okay. The flip side to that is, they've always portrayed it, especially like background 2008, where it was all about FEMA camps, and they're setting up FEMA camps, and they got all these FEMA coffins, and they got all these guillotines and crates. They're just going to open them up and start chopping people's heads off. I don't think so. You want to know why? It's too humane. Unless they're really just worried about getting it done quick and easy. But, look at what they did during the Inquisition. Knowing these beings the way that I know them, I don't see them opting for something that is quick and humane. No, they literally created something in the Inquisition where it was like a giant pyramid that they sat you on top of naked. So you got this giant pyramid up your butt, and it just slowly splits you apart. That was a church, by the way. So, like, the Inquisition came up with stuff that would make today's CIA black sites look like freaking Romper Room, or like an episode of Barney. So if it's like the end of days, like, I wouldn't expect them to go do like humane things, like just chop your head off and die real quick. But either which way, that's better than the alternative. So that's the first thing. But let's say you don't get rounded up like that, but somehow you get sealed. Because it does mention that there will be people that have the seal of God on their foreheads during this time frame. That means they came to their senses. But you still got to kind of play the hard level now. But this hard level is not going to be 7 years long, like they told you it is. the 7-year tribulation, it's 7 years for people that did it on their own accord, like I did. My 7-year tribulation ended on August 8th. And she said, the end of mine lines up with the end of everything else. Because let's face it, from the sixth seal on through the end, there's only one point in there where it kind of indicates like there would be a stretch of time. Most of that is describing the events of the stages of the destroyer event, which happens like within 48 hours. All that crazy stuff falling from the sky. But here's where it gets interesting. The fifth trumpet, is it fifth? Fifth, yeah. The fifth trumpet is the nasty one. And this is where the quantum jumping thing is exposed. So up to this point, the quantum immortality has been invisible. Like you either experience a near miss, or you die and you reset, wake up in your bed, not remembering what happened. It's like it never happened. So it's invisible. You don't know it's happening. It's been like that for a while. She said, we don't reincarnate anymore. We respawn. No more reincarnation. Hasn't been for a while. So this is when you have the wormwood, whatever that is, spaceship, astro body of something or whatever. It's some kind of star crashes, and then the key, the angel's given the key to the bottomless pit, and it opens up and spews forth smoke and all sorts of horrific monsters. Now these monsters are described in places other than the Bible. They're described in the Colburn Bible, which is older. The Colburn Bible has the account of the last destroyer event, and it talks about these horrific monsters. It's also in that book that I mentioned that gives like meaning to each of the degrees of the zodiac. So I think it's like 28 degrees Taurus. It talks about a dark cloud and horrific monsters. So this is the one. It's like they got teeth like lions and long hair and crazy wings and scorpion tails, and they have the power to sting and torment people. It says in there for 5 months. That's the only time where it seems like there might be a stretch of time. But it says they can't hurt like the plants and the grass and all that, and they can't hurt the people that have the seal of God's on their forehead. But here's the key. It says in those days, it's so bad that in those days people will seek death, but it will elude them. And here's what she showed me, and this is when it sinks in for most people. The fifth trumpet is when it now becomes, it's no longer hidden from the people, that they're stuck in quantum reincarnation. So it's like, I can't take this anymore. What the heck? Try that again. Holy crap, I can't die. Now, at this judgment, I say quantum immortality. The quantum immortality function is no longer hidden. And it sinks in. And they're like, oh, because if you're still at this point and you haven't turned to God yet, it's like, okay, I guess we got to turn up the heat a little bit. So enjoy getting picked over and stung and chewed on by monsters, and then you can't even die. Nothing you can do can escape it. You can't die. Every time you try to kill yourself, you're just gonna pop back a second later and know that it didn't work. So it says right in the Bible, they'll seek death and it will elude them. That's when the quantum, why do I keep having a problem with that word? The quantum immortality is now visible to people, and they know. They know. They can't get out, and they can't die. So by that point, that's when there's going to be a whole big, like, okay, I effed up. because they're going to know what's going on by this point. And I guess getting chewed on by freaking flying scorpion monsters and not being able to die should be enough to wake pretty much everybody up. That's the only point in that I can see after the 6th seal. And maybe, and you know what? That might not be 5 months. I know that's what it says. But if you've ever been outside of here, if you've ever been outside of this space, outside of linear time, then you know, like, time works very differently. There is no time outside of here. So when you're viewing this type of stuff in the future, in these altered states, your sense of time can be really squirrely. So just because they wrote down that it was 5 months does not mean it's 5 months. Like, it could be freaking 5 hours. Like, that seems a little bit more reason. 5 hours getting chewed on by monsters, not being able to die, that would still get your attention. Because everything else matches up with this one event that's going to be really squished in. So, yep, that's going to be not. You don't want to be that guy. Definitely don't want to be that guy. Yeah, but the thing is like that mechanic has been here since around about 2012, according to her. It's just been invisible. You couldn't tell that it was happening. But as we get closer to the end and the sorting process picks up, we're all shifting worlds in all these different directions so much that we're like seeing all these Mandela effects, and people see different Mandela effects, and they're like, no, I've always seen that one. That's the thing, is like, it's going to be hard unless you're like really strong with the light to tell who's who, because this is how they hide it. It's the same thing that was explained to me years ago in terms of quantum jumping going up and down. So there's also like an up and down quantum jumping as your spiritual awareness increases. You know, they simplify it with the phrase that I absolutely despise: raise your vibration. No, but as you go up in levels, like this is why people split up from relationships when one person in the relationship has a spiritual awakening and the other one does not. So when they have the spiritual awakening, they actually quantum jump. They jump to a different Earth. But everything still looks the same. But now you're really not clicking with your partner. Because at one point, you were both either just egos, or maybe you were both souls, or something, like however that works. But when one person starts moving up their quantum jumping worlds, the separation between the partners gets bigger and bigger. And that's why it feels like you fall out of love, or something's changed, or they're not the way they used to be. That's what's crazy, is like, you know, my ex-wife, you know, I get along with her fine, but like, that is not the same woman that I used to know. As time goes on, she becomes more and more different to me. I mean, it's crazy. Like I saw it right away once my hero's journey started. But as I was sorting my stuff out, then we started getting along again. But still, I can tell, like, that's simply not the person I was with for 16 years. It's very, very different, because it's not. That version of her, you know, is in a completely different parallel world than where I am now. See, we've all been, this is how this change works. That's how manifestation and synchronicities and things work, is we're constantly hopping worlds in a way that's not visible to us, that we don't understand. But now that we're here at the end, the mechanism is being revealed, and it's like, this is how we sort people out. And that harvest, that sorting, is nearly complete. By nearly complete, I mean it practically is. It's like you're not going to know about it until it's almost over. Which, you know, this is the date. And tomorrow, like something. I mean, We still don't date set, and I still go by what she said the other day. She's like, don't want, don't wait, don't watch. Don't think about it. Focus on you, focus on the other stuff, but don't think about this one particular thing. If for any reason, so that you don't interfere with it using the quantum Zeno effect, where observation of something creates interference. But here we are. So cool to be able to see it. So cool to be able to see how it's working, how it's being done, which I couldn't do it without her, obviously. But a lot of times, like, she doesn't give knowledge until it's time to have it. So this has been right in front of my face, like, the entire time, but now she's only telling me about it today. But yeah, this is the sorting. This is why, this is why the duck couldn't shoot Donald Trump. Regardless of what your feelings about him are, that was an example of a near miss that a lot of us have been going through, but it was put out there for everybody to see. And then he just had another one. And the thing is the people that are getting sorted into the meat grinder, it's going to look to them like all the same people that they don't like are still there, because we are. But the souls aren't. Those are not the primes. Those are just our copies that are in all these different parallel worlds. So in each parallel world, it's not like you're jumping to a whole new world. Like, there's already a you there. There's a you in every one of these worlds that is simply being operated by the ego AI, the personality AI. What switches worlds is the soul. So if this is, let's just say this is Earth 101.2. There's another Chris that looks exactly like me, that talks exactly like me, that thinks exactly like me. The only difference is the soul's not there, and he's in Earth 101.3. So when I shift to 101.3, then I step into that Chris and take it from there. But it's so seamless and so invisible that you just don't even realize that it happened. So what that means is, when people are shifted out of here en masse, this is the key thing, they're going to be laughing at everybody, thinking, ha ha ha, look at you, where's your rapture? Where's your rapture? You little ha ha. You didn't disappear, because they misled everybody with media and stuff like that, with these movies, thinking, oh, you're just going to disappear and only your clothes are going to be there, which is bullcrap, because you do not, when you go to the other place, this is a physical material body. It belongs down here. So you leave, this is part of the world. This thing right here is part of the world. You're not. So there's not going to be, so the rapture is pretty much going to be, before I speculated, I said it would look like everybody just dropped dead. You're not even going to see that. There might be a flash of light. That'll be your only indication that anything happened. Because what will happen is the souls will be gone, leaving behind the same bodies with the ego programming that were always there. It's not going to look like anything changed. So the people going through the stuff at the end, they still look like there's the same amount of people in the world. That's how freaking devious and sneaky this is. I won't say devious, but because that's the way quantum jumping has always worked. There's always another you in every world. What matters is your soul in it. The rapture will be invisible. Invisible. The people, but what will happen, hold on, I'm listening. Okay, so when everything is sorted out, everybody will be in one world. So the souls that still have some growth to do, they're gonna sense something's off. They needed their butts kicked a little bit. They're the ones that's gonna sense that something's off. Because to aid in their advancement, they're going to be given a little bit more sensitivity and awareness to spirit to help them change. They're going to feel like something's different. They may know people like us, and all of a sudden, like, I'm not getting that buzzy feeling around that person anymore, or something like that. They're going to sense something. They're going to be uneasy. They're going to be like, and then if they start seeing the big events happen, like the big ones, they're going to be like, oh crap. The rapture is invisible. But at least now you know. And you know, a lot of people just already know. They're like, hey, I'm good to go. So you should be excited right now, knowing that, like, we're literally there. It can happen at any freaking moment. Okay, well, that's all we got for right now. I don't know how long we'll be here, but just in case, if you want to support the channel, if you appreciate our work, you know, click on the link down below. Buy me a coffee. It helps support us. Contact us through our Etsy store, clumencreations.etsy.com. However, if you find yourself on this channel and you know that this already happened, you just know that it already happened, then I will not be able. That's a weird sound. I won't be able to make these things anymore, because I have to have, like, my soul to charge them. But that's also why she had me do this channel the way that we did, to dump everything that I know into this channel. And you won't have to sort through it all, because she will guide you to what you need to see, which will probably be this video, the Getting Right with God video. Okay, well, that's all we got for right now. Maybe we'll see you on the other side. Chris and Lumen. Boy, I can't wait for you to meet her. Then you'll understand. See you next time.